Fairlie to be followed by Liz Smith. 4 minutes, please, Mr Fairlie.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. I'd like to start by congratulating Mark Ruskell on securing this debate. I know that public and particularly green public transport is a subject close to his heart, and I'm sure he would have enjoyed the event I was pleased to be able to attend in Perth on Monday, as did Minister Mr Day. Supported by the Scottish Government, the project has seen Stagecoach working in partnership with Alexander Dennis Limited, the Falkirk-based bus manufacturer, and SSE, who are providing the charging facilities. Stagecoach were unveiling the first of their all-electric zero-emissions buses they are introducing to 2 routes within Perth City from early in the new year. Starting with 9 vehicles, they hope to almost double the fleet to 16 by the end of next year, and there is a real ambition to see Perth to become the first city in the UK excuse me, I apologise, choking on that. There's a very real ambition to see Perth to become the first city in the UK entirely served by zero-emission bus service. That would really be a fantastic and brilliant contribution locally towards net zero objectives, and I hope that it won't just be confined to the boundaries of the fair city itself as we go forward. In the interest of fairness, I should stress that I know that First Bus are themselves involved in an electric transport system, and as a communication I received on their behalf yesterday pointed out, their Glasgow depot is excuse me. Their Glasgow depot is the largest electric vehicle charging hub in the UK. However, despite that positive news about the bus services for the future, we are here this evening to talk about an unfortunate threat to an existing bus service for our constituents. Thank you, Jack. Excuse me. We are here this evening to talk about the unfortunate threat to existing bus services for a lot of our constituents. The X53 service named in the motion visits 3 different constituencies within Mid-Scotland and Fife region that Mr Ruskell represents. It connects Kinross in my constituency with Stirling via a number of communities in Keith Brown's Clickmannanshire and Dunblane constituency. I'm sure that if he were here, the Cabinet Secretary Keith would also be speaking in this. If he was not a Cabinet Secretary, he would also be speaking in this debate. And I know that he has been in correspondence with First Bus and Muckert Community Council on the issue. Now, Mr Ruskell has outlined the history of the bus service already, but it bears repeating. That it's a relatively new service introduced just over a year ago by First Bus in replacement for the one that Stagecoach ended during lockdown. And while this replacement service was welcome, it already represented a reduction in service for my constituents, since the 23 bus that had replaced it used to run between Stirling and St Andrews. Now, this service is to be suspended from the 10th of January, and with lamentable lack of consultation with the affected communities beforehand. Now, I know the bus service changes frequently, and other members will have doubtless over the years seen many changes to their constituents opposed. So why was this service different? Why does its suspension deserve this chunk of parliamentary time spent on it? The answer is that it's not just a commercial decision by First Bus. They readily admit that. Rather, the problem is a systemic one, a consequence of the perfect storm of COVID and Brexit that has resulted in an industry-wide shortage of drivers. Nevertheless, I would urge First Bus to change their minds on this one. Kinross and Kinrossshire is an area with a growing population and does not deserve to be repeatedly cut off from neighbouring towns in the way that it has been. Yes, of course.
Finlay Carson.
I thank the member for taking the intervention. Is there not an argument then, rather than taxpayers providing free bus travel for those in urban areas, that's where most of the funding is going to go to provide the free transport for under-21s, that money would have been better spent supporting the sort of services that you're talking about, and also enhancing rural bus services, so those under-21 can have access to a bus and not necessarily just free access. So rather than subsidise those in urban areas who have plenty of access to bus, the money would have been better spent in rural areas to protect those services.
Mr Fairlie, and I can give you the time back to Mr Carson's speech.
Thank you very much. No, what I'd say to Mr Carson is I absolutely support the under-21 system, because it's a project that's a part of the system that will get young users actually onto buses, because we need to try and change the culture of bus use in the first place. So, if we remember who it is that loses out when a bus service is removed, inevitably it is the well less off members of our communities, the elderly and the young. And these are the people who depend on buses to take them to work or to education, to shops and to hospital appointments, to visit friends or just to have a day out. Now, we're supposed to be trying to get more people on, not fewer, to use the buses. And as the motion says, come next month, we will see the very welcome introduction of free bus travel for young people under 26. They will only get the benefit of that if there are buses to take them there. So I take the point that you're making, but I still prefer the getting people onto buses in the first place. And I hope that we'll hear something from the Minister in summing up in the debate this evening, that we will give some hope that they will be able to work with the operators to find an answer to the challenges they are facing in terms of driver shortages. And in saying that, I completely acknowledge that the main changes that the operators know will help them are the ones right now that can only be taken by the UK Government. I know, for example, that First Bus has been working with the Scottish Refugee Council, as Mark Driscoll has already alluded to, on recruitment, and have been calling on the UK Government to change the rules around visa requirements for bus drivers by classifying them as an essential worker. That would be a small change and an easy change, but it would be one which could have a positive benefit for our public transport system and to support the urgent need to encourage more public to use the public transport system more often. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr Fairlie. I now call